Hello fellow sim racers and welcome to another mod track review. Now I know a lot of you will already know about Lilski's Bridgehampton mod. After all, it's easily one of the most popular mod tracks for Assetto Corsa, and with good reason. But lots of people still ask me about my favourite circuits for Assetto Corsa, and I should really have a video about the one that's probably at the top of my list. I don't think it's a particularly divisive thing to suggest that some of the racetracks that popped up in America in the 1950s are amongst the best the world has seen. Road America, Laguna Seca, Watkins Glen, Sebring. Fast, challenging drivers' tracks, all sprung up around this time, and so did Bridgehampton. Sadly, unlike the others, the bridge is no more. It kicked the bucket, shuffled off its mortal coil, it ran down the curtain and joined the choir invisible. Worse still, it's now a bleeding golf course. The bridge was a fearsome circuit, breathtakingly fast, technical and unforgiving. The runoff, as it could be charitably described, little more than a few yards of sand between the track and the trees. And then there's the gradients. Bridgehampton had elevation changes to rival the likes of Spa and Brands Hatch, and it's the latter circuit that is perhaps most reminiscent of this track layout. Ultimately, noise complaints handicapped the circuit's ability to generate revenue, and despite years of struggle against the local authorities, the writing was on the wall. But thankfully, as sim racers, we don't have to accept the realities of NIMBYism and local politics. And thanks to talented members of the modding community like Lilski donating their free time, we can enjoy all sorts of racetracks that have been lost to the sands of time. It's hard to know where to start with a mod of this quality, but I suppose the most important thing for many people is the track mesh. Having been partly constructed using LiDAR data gathered from the remaining track sections, and countless reference photos, it's safe to say that this representation of the track layout is as close as it's possible to get. The mesh itself captures the bumpy and varied nature of Bridgehampton's track surface admirably. Particularly impressive are the small details such as tarmac patches, repairs, cracks and potholes. The characteristic tyres used in lieu of conventional concrete curbs are well represented, and surprisingly they don't kill you if you get too close. Accounts vary from those that have driven at the track as to whether you could attack the tyres or whether they would ruin your day. Personally, I like that Lilski's made them bumpy but not lethal. As the bridge never really got the finances together to upgrade its facilities in later years, trackside details are pretty sparse by modern race circuit standards. But where there are trackside buildings, huts and of course the famous bridge, you can see the attention to detail that's been applied. The 3D models for these are excellent, as are the textures. Speaking of textures, a big part of Bridgehampton's character in the later years is defined by the slightly careworn look of the place, which comes across perfectly in this mod. Be it the make do and mend nature of the racing surface, the unkempt wild grass or the sun-bleached paintwork of the structures and signage. Moving on, the AI is every bit as good as the rest of this mod. As a video maker, I've spent a lot of time with the Assetto Corsa AI over the last few months, and to be honest, results are pretty variable from circuit to circuit. But I can report that there are no such problems here. The AI is fast, and perhaps most importantly, they don't crash out every fourth corner. As a final note, the TV cameras used in the replay mode are excellent, which is something that can't be taken for granted with mod tracks. Normally, I would use this section to list a few areas that aren't really up to scratch, but to be totally frank, there's nothing about the Bridgehampton mod that needs more work. If I were to go out of my way to find fault, perhaps it would be nice to have a few more spectators placed around some of the fencing, as it does feel a little sparse. But this mod represents the track in its later years after the big crowd-pulling events had ceased, so even then this is probably pretty accurate. So, enough talk, time for an onboard lap. The bridge played host to the Can-Am Championship throughout the late 60s, so it's entirely fitting that we should take a lap in this marvellous McLaren M8. Turn 1 is a fast downhill right-hander that reminds me of Paddock Hill Bend, only somehow even faster. Next up, Millstone, a very tricky affair. The braking zone's bumpy and there's not much room to get things wrong on the outside. Straighten the car out and gently get back on the power for the short run down towards Turn 4. The corner itself's a fairly conventional right-hander that leads you into the appropriately named Echo Valley. Go on, listen to it. At the top of the hill, the left-hander is blind and over a crest, and it is great fun in any car. Now we've got a little bit of time to relax as we blast through the sweeping back section of the track. We have to graze the brakes slightly in this car to keep the front end planted before braking hard for this 90-degree left-hander. A surprisingly tricky little number it is too. Get the car straightened out for the short run down to the hairpin, a frustratingly long corner that really exposes poor chassis setups. Get on the gas as early as you possibly can and guide the car over to the left of the circuit. Finally, begin braking for the fast flick through the final turn and back onto the seemingly endless start-finish straight. Lilski's Bridgehampton mod conveys a real sense of time and place, perhaps better than any other circuit in any racing sim. It's clear that this mod has been carefully constructed by someone with a real passion for the character and history of the place. While this mod is technically excellent, it's the sense of atmosphere and history that it manages to convey that is truly remarkable. And ultimately, that's why Bridgehampton is my favourite Assetto Corsa track, mod or otherwise. If you're interested in downloading the Bridgehampton mod, then I've put a link in the video description. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. If you've got any suggestions for content you'd like to see on the channel in future, then please let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for donating your precious free time by watching. It is very much appreciated. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.